Okay, and we are rolling. I'm going to give it a second or two because when it goes out live stream, it tends to kind of skip the first couple of seconds. So we're probably going live right now.
Okay.
And here we go. All right, so we're back here at FPA NorCal in beautiful San Francisco. I'm Chuck Vela on behalf of goRIA, Fueled by Investment News. And we are joined by Cameo Robinson, who is the founder of Atlas Park Consulting.
Yes, it's fantastic to be here, Chuck.
It is really, really great to have you here. And so as we were talking a bit about this off camera, everything we do about goRIA needs to answer one of two questions. Why should I go RIA, and how can I go RIA? Mm-hmm. I think you're going to help us with the second one. How can I go?
I will do my best.
Okay. So, and I already know this, but for the benefit of our audience, what does Atlas Consulting do?
Yes, so Atlas Park Consulting, we're an operations strategy and practice management platform for independent financial advisors and wealth management teams. What we do is we rescue our clients from what I like to call operational chaos without feeling overwhelmed so that you can have more control over your business operations, more systems, and more time freedoms.
Okay, that's a perfect way to sum this up. So how is this relevant for advisors going RIA? And here's how I would pose this, and I'd like to get your comments on this. So I talk to advisors all the time that have been hearing about the RIA space, they hear about the higher payouts, they hear about the higher freedoms, but how do I do this, right? In the story I share all the time, and this is true, I was talking once to an advisor with one of the big wirehouses, and they wanted to go RIA. And honestly, their first question was like, how do I go about getting business cards? I was like, dude, I don't know. Go to a printer and get some business cards. But they sometimes it's like the deer in the headlights. So how do you help advisors make that transition from the broker-dealer space to going RIA?
Yeah, Chuck, it's such a big decision, right? When you're coming from the broker-dealer world, and for such a long time you're being told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. When you decide to go RIA, guess what? Everything is now up to you. And so one of the first things I ask clients is, how do you want to go RIA? Do you want to tuck into a larger firm? Or do you want to completely go independent and hang up your own shingle? And then what does that look like?
Right, so build your own or tuck in.
Pretty much.
That's kind of the first part of that decision tree.
Yes.
And how do you help these advisors parse through which way might be best for them?
Well, I often ask, what kind of entrepreneur are you? How much of the work do you actually want to do? And if it's someone who wants to go completely on their own, build their own infrastructure, then that's something that I can help them with.
Okay, that sounds really good. And I think a good way to frame the RIA space, right? So if you're looking to join a wirehouse, you probably have 5 good choices, right? Give or take. Mm-hmm. If you're looking to go the independent broker-dealer route, you probably have a dozen solid good choices. Mm-hmm. But if you want to go RIA, well, you could build your own, in which case you have hundreds of vendors that you can parse together.
Absolutely.
Or you could tuck into an existing RIA, which there's hundreds of good choices.
Absolutely.
So it becomes now kind of the good news, bad news. The good news is there's a lot of choice and a lot of resources, but the bad news is there's a lot of choice and a lot of resources. So I find it so valuable what you do to help these advisors kind of sort through all that. Do you help them even so far as putting together maybe pro formas and kind of checks and balances, not checks and balances, but pros and cons? Do you walk them through to that level of detail?
I do. There's really 5 areas that we focus in with our clients. One, that's the business strategy and planning. What are you building and why? Then there's the optimizing operations piece. What do you need to actually build in that infrastructure? Technology and tools. What do you need to deliver service at a very high level? Technology and tools, which is a big, big part of the decision tree. Human capital. How are you hiring? How are you actually bringing in team members to help you get the work done? And then one big one is business development. How are you bringing in new business, right? If you're leaving a wirehouse or broker-dealer and you may be bringing clients with you, that's one avenue. But you still need to figure out what that business development plan is going to be like long term, and we'll talk about that with our clients.
Okay, great. And is it fair to say, in your experience, that these advisors, they leave the broker-dealer space, and the broker-dealer space, let's be honest, especially the wirehouses, tend to be known for putting up those guardrails pretty good, right? And to steal a phrase from Michael Kitces, he calls it compliance to the lowest common denominator, right? So if you have a big wirehouse, 12,000 advisors, you don't have a personal relationship with each one of those 12,000, right, at the top of the ivory tower there. So they have to set up compliance for the lowest common denominator. But if you set up your own RIA, it doesn't mean, it's the wild, wild west, right? You can't just run crazy.
Right.
But if you feel it makes sense and it's reasonable, sometimes at the wirehouse you still get the no. But in your own shop, if you feel it makes sense and it's reasonable, green light. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do. And there's so many different compliance options out there that advisors can tap into. And you can really develop your own compliance program pertaining to your service model and what it is that you're trying to do. The challenge that I see is, and not just in the compliance space, but when you go independent, there's so many decisions, business decisions that you need to make. How do you navigate those in a way that makes sense for you and your clients? How do you avoid decision fatigue, which is a huge challenge,
yes.
right? And then how do you actually move forward and implement those ideas in a way that makes sense? And those are all things that we're able to do at Atlas Park, in part from the work that we do, but then our industry experience, over 20 years working for independent wealth management firms in the San Francisco Bay Area primarily, and then now working with over 75 firms and counting who've gone independent. So we've seen it, we help clients figure it out and navigate it without feeling overwhelmed.
All right, well, that sounds like a great place to wrap it up for today.
Fantastic.
So, Cameo Robinson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Chuck. Had a great time.
Great information. And, you brought up one thing, too, and I'd be remiss about the compliance. So, if you're watching this, you're probably an advisor thinking about going RIA. Quick little self-promo here, or promo for Investment News, at least. June 13th, we are going to have the first ever first in a while, I should say, goRIA Virtual Summit Masterclass. It's going to be a half-day event. Virtual, easy to get to.
Right.
And we have folks like Jamie Hopkins, Diana Caprisi, Preston Cherry, Natalie Wolfson, the CEO of Orion, a lot of big names. And we're going to have panels on how to go RIA, starting off broadly, right? Should you build your own or tuck in? We're going to have a panel about compliance, how to get registered, how to stay in compliance, fee-based options that are optimized for the RIA space, so a lot of great content. So if you want to learn more about going RIA, stay tuned today and tomorrow while we're here live at FPA Northern California. But also think about registering for the goRIA Virtual Summit and Masterclass. Simply go to goRIA.com. You'll see a little link there that says upcoming events. Click that. You'll see the registration link, and it's free and virtual, easy to get to. Hopefully you'll join us.
Yeah, that sounds like a fantastic event. I should be there.
You should be there. As a matter of fact, we're going to do one in fall. Maybe we'll get you on the fall one.
I would love that.
All right, that sounds good. All right, so on behalf of goRIA Fueled by Investment News, I'm Chuck Fela, and we'll see you in another hour with some more content here at FPA Northern California Live. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Woo.